Ladies and gentlemen, may I please request that we stand and put our hands together as we welcome our chief guest into the hall, please. Thank you, thank you. Let's get the high table seated, and then we'll take our seats as well. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to do so. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you into Tanzania, and as we've welcomed the chief guest into the room, the Honorable Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, if you please, let's put our hands together once again to say thank you very much for honoring this event. You will notice that he is wearing a tie with the Tanzania flag colors on it. He is the only minister, the only Tanzanian who consistently wears that tie. I'm not sure if it's the same tie all the time or that his whole wardrobe is full of Tanzania ties, and now how does he choose the next one? But that's definitely the brand that he carries close to his chest, to his heart. And I'm not sure if anybody else has translated that to you, the Honorable Minister, in any way. But congratulations, thank you for carrying Tanzania to the world each time there's a picture taken of you. And that's what we'd like to do as we welcome our esteemed guests into the country. We played for you a wonderful video and amazing attractions, and we'd love for you to come and do business here in Tanzania. The opportunities are endless. Your stay here will be unforgettable. Karibuni sana, and please learn your Swahili. Mheshimiwa, pia nilikuwa nimewaambia hapa kwamba inawezekana ukazungumza Kiswahili sio Kiingereza. Acha kule kwenye translation booths waanze kupanic. Lakini tuna translation yake kwa Kiingereza hapa. Kwa hiyo mheshimiwa, leo ukipiga zote mbili itapendeza zaidi. Tuna representations here. Unajua Africa speaks both English, Portuguese, French, Swahili should be as prominent as well. So whatever you can, if you can, please honor us with some of the languages that you know. Karibu sana. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get underway. It's good to see a smile on the gentleman and the lady at the high table. The Executive Director, World Bank, Dr. Taofila Nyamazabo. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together. The Vice President, Chief Risk, Legal and Administrative Officer, Mega, who in collaboration with the government of Tanzania, both mainland and Zanzibar, Ethiopia's Tafara. Ladies and gentlemen, please acknowledge our presence on the table. We have from Zanzibar a young, dynamic minister responsible for investment, Honorable Mudrik Ara Soraga. Please, sir, please rise as I mention your name. Please take note and take a picture. As I welcomed you across, you want to meet this man, and he will have time for you. I can promise you that. Also from Zanzibar, please rise, Mheshimiwa Omari Said Shaban. That's another picture you want to take and remember as you go invest over in Zanzibar. And Mama Amina Shaban, the Deputy PS, Minister of Finance and Planning, please rise. The Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, the umbrella body for the private sector in Tanzania, truly dynamic, represented by the director and assistant to the chairperson, Raphael Maganga. Please rise. We'd like to introduce to you another dynamic young person within Tanzania. Tanzania government officials, the visiting African government officials, DFIs, local and international private sector actors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 1 of 2 of the official opening of this post-pandemic, very urgent high-level roundtable dialogue within Tanzania. Welcome to the Hayat for the next 2 days. Let's begin with our program. And it's my great pleasure to welcome to the other speaking podium, Mheshimiwa Amina Shaban. Please, karibu sana. You have the honor to get the proceedings underway. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands, please. Mheshimiwa Amina Shaban.
Honorable Dr. Mwigulu Lameck Nchemba Madelu, Minister for Finance and Planning, representing the guest of honor. Honorable Ethiopia's Tafara Migas, Vice President and Chief Risk, Legal and Administrative Officer. Honorable Ministers from Zanzibar, Permanent Secretaries, representative of ministers from Africa Group 1 constituencies, Dr. Taufila Nyamazabo, Miga World Bank Group Executive Director, President of Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, Executive Director Tanzania Investment Center, Executive Director Zanzibar Investment Promotion Agency, Director General Tanzania Tourist Board, local and foreign investors, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, habari ya asubuhi. Na wasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, on behalf of the government of Nigeria Republic of Tanzania, and in particular, our 2 organizing ministries, Ministry of Investment, Industry and Trade, and the Ministry of Finance and Planning, and our dear partner MIGA, with the great honor, I wish to thank Honorable Minister for Finance and Planning for accepting our invitation to be the guest of honor and officiate the opening of this important forum. We all know quite well that you have a lot of national responsibilities, but your acceptance to be with us today is a clear indication that you give great importance to today's event, especially the aspect of FDI promotion in general. To us, it is peculiar dignity and comfort. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, may I also take this opportunity to appreciate the commitment and presence of Honorable Ethiopia's Tafara Migas, Vice President and Chief Risk, Legal and Administrative Officer, and Dr. Taufila Nyamazabo, Miga World Bank Group Executive Director, for being with us. Ladies and gentlemen, exceptionally, I would like to welcome all participants within and outside the country who have worked tirelessly and in organizing this, their participation. I'm told that some of you, it's your first time to visit Tanzania. By and large, your willingness to participate in this event will contribute to the desired success we are looking forward today and tomorrow. The government of Tanzania and the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA, agreed to host this high-level event, invitation-only dialogue to promote foreign direct investment into Southern and Eastern Africa countries with the aim to bring together international, foreign, and local investors with government representatives from different countries. Key stakeholders from the private sector will have an opportunity for a candid dialogue with government representative about optimizing investment conditions to draw more FDI into the region. Private sector participants include companies within and from outside Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, the dialogue takes place as these countries recover from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic a global coordinated climate action effort under the aegis of the Paris Agreement is underway, and the investment landscape countries continues to evolve. Like the rest of the world, Africa has been severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. FDI flows to sub-Saharan Africa decreased in 2020 by 12% to 30 billion US dollars. Greenfield project announcement key to industrialization in the region dropped by 62% to $29 billion. Furthermore, international project finance plummeted by 74% to $32 billion. These changes create big challenges as the countries attempt to emerge from the pandemic. FDI can increase capital flows to Southern and Eastern Africa countries without increasing their indebtedness as they face a fragile global economy and a climate crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, topics to be discussed by the investors and government representatives include opportunities for investments, key success factors for investment, risk, and associated mitigants. Government representatives will be able to discuss their plans for attracting FDIs and how they will foster a more amenable environment for investors. On our side, as the government of Tanzania, we have brought together key government officials whereby some of them will have a chance to present in front of you, and many more will have time to interact with you in these 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would like to thank MIGA for accepting to co-organizing this meeting, and to all delegates for accepting our invitation, and I wish all participants fruitful engagements of the dialogue. I would like to conclude my welcoming remarks to you all, to welcoming you to Tanzania and to this amazing investment dialogue hosted in our peaceful country. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza.
Super. Thank you. Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. You will note that Tanzanians speak in unison, whether we're in the mainland or in Zanzibar. Kazi endelee, let the work continue, and we're ready to work. As Her Excellency the President, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan says, Tanzania is ready. That was our commitment to you as we opened the event this morning. And now to the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, karibu sana, kaka yetu Maganga. Let's put our hands together. Karibu kaka across the podium. And this is the welcome from our private sector in Tanzania.
Thank you. Ethiopia's Tafara MIGA Vice President and Chief Risk Legal and Administrative Officer, Honorable Ministers and Honorable Minister from the Africa Group 1 constituency, Honorable Ministers from Tanzania and Zanzibar, Honorable Permanent Secretaries from Tanzania and Zanzibar, Representative of the private sector, Executive Director of the African Group constituency within the World Bank Group, the Executive Director of the Tanzania Investment Center, the Executive Director of the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Agency, ZIPA, Director General for the Tanzania Tourism Board, local and foreign investors, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Good morning. On behalf of the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation and the entire Tanzania private sector, I would like to extend my gratitude to the government of Tanzania and the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA, for hosting this historic MIGA forum here in Dar es Salaam today. It is through these initiatives that we are enabling the private sector in Tanzania and the entire Africa to continue playing their role and the engines of the economic growth. Honorable guest of honor, allow me to briefly give an overview of the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation. The Tanzania Private Sector Foundation 98, and the aim was to become the umbrella apex body and the voice of the private sector in the country. Currently, there are more than 375 direct members, 231 business associations, 129 corporate members, and 15 associate members, reaching across over 6 million businesses countrywide. TPSF is the most trusted private sector organization by the public sector, providing a voice of the various stakeholders of the private sector while promoting private sector-led social and economic development in Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, TPSF commends the government of Tanzania for continuing to improve the business and investment climate in Tanzania. This includes reviewing the policy and legal frameworks for investment, implementing the blueprint for regulatory reforms, but also through continuous consultation with the private sector. The government has been identifying and removing obstacles for inward foreign direct investment, along with measures to improve the overall business climate. The private sector in Tanzania acknowledges and in full support of the effort, acknowledges and is in full support of the effort of the government of Tanzania to continue to attract the foreign direct investment and pursue the industrialization development agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand since its inception, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA, has been promoting the foreign direct investment into developing countries to support both economic growth, reduce poverty, and improve people's lives. MIGA guarantees are also a catalyst to restore the market confidence for investors, and that the agency also works closely with the private and the public sector, reassuring partners to maximize the insurance capacity that MIGA brings for the projects. While MIGA objectives are well-grounded, they will remain elusive if the local businesses are unable to take full advantage of these opportunities in terms of trade and investment. It is critical that the private sector in Tanzania effectively engages in understanding the support and the opportunities that MIGA offers. It is in this light that TPSF urges that going forward, the process to be more inclusive with MIGA and more representative government and more representation from government supporting the effective engagement of the private sector in understanding what MIGA offers and the private sector companies. And I'm glad to see that even in this meeting, there are a lot of Tanzanian private sector companies that have been invited here with a lot of interesting projects that we look forward for actually fruitful discussion that will enable this private sector to grow and explore the free continent of trade opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, as an active national focal point for the East African Business Council and the SADC Business Council, it's critical that private sector in Tanzania works with the government and MIGA in ensuring that the private sector in Tanzania is fully capacitated to deliver development results across Tanzania and bring shared prosperity that will end the poverty across our country and in the continent. On the same note, I therefore call upon the business community to increase investment, particularly in the sectors of interest such as agribusiness, clean energy, finance, hospitality, manufacturing sector, just to mention a few, to increase productivity in the areas of comparative advantage in order to enhance our competitiveness and benefit from MIGA. Ladies and gentlemen, lastly, I would like to once again congratulate the Ministry of Investment, Industry, Trade, and MIGA for organizing this important forum that will stimulate discussion on how to best promote FDIs in our continent and indeed in Tanzania. I wish you all fruitful deliberation. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Rafa Maganga from the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have a simultaneous interpretation if you do need a device. And for English, French, or Portuguese, please raise your hand and we'll send a device to you. Honorable guest of honor, at table not speaking today is Dr. Taufila Nyamatsabo, one of Botswana's prolific finance and economics professionals, who has been appointed Substantive Executive Director for Africa Group 1 constituency at the Executive Board of Directors of the World Bank Group in Washington in November 2020. I wish to introduce the doctor to you, as he will not be speaking. Thank you. Dr. Nyamatsabo has been alternate executive director for the same constituency at the World Bank Group since 2018 to 2020. Prior to this, he was Secretary for Economic and Financial Policy in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development between August 2007 until 2018. Started his career as a professional economist in 1984, has held numerous positions in the Ministry of Finance for over 34 years, mostly at senior and middle-level management. That included, amongst others, Secretary for Economic Affairs, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Economic Affairs, Director of Policy Analysis, Director of Microeconomic Planning, and Director of Development Programs. He has worked extensively on the formulation and analysis of macroeconomic policy issues and has played a crucial role in deepening the public understanding of economic issues through various publications, academic reports, papers, reports, and public speaking. We're truly honored to have you in our presence and to gain your wisdom. Karibu sana. I felt it's important to introduce to you. You're not speaking today. You have a fabulous slot tomorrow that everybody will be in full anticipation of. Karibu sana. The next speaker, Your Honor, allow me to introduce Ethiopis Tafara, the Vice President and Chief Risk, Legal, and Administrative Officer and Partnerships for the World Bank Group's Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA. He joined MIGA in 2019 and is responsible for the supervision and oversight of MIGA's Finance and Risk Management Group, the Economics and Sustainability Group, and the Legal Affairs and Claims Group. He also oversees MIGA partnerships to leverage strategic alliances and promote greater investment flows into emerging markets through more extensive risk coverage. It's my great honor to welcome you to speak, Ethiopis Tafara, our Vice President. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands.
Honorable Ministers, all your excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and a warm welcome to all of you. It's truly an honor for me to be here with you. I'd like to convey my deep appreciation to Her Excellency Ms. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for her kind and generous hospitality in hosting today's event. I'd also like to thank the Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Nchemba, and the Honorable Minister of Investment and Trade, Dr. Kijaji, for co-chairing this event. I'm also very grateful to all of the government representatives from the guest countries for joining us today. The Tanzania Roundtable Dialogue will mark the second in a series of government investor dialogues that MIGA is co-hosting together with specific host governments in various regions across Africa, the Caribbean, South America, and Asia. And at the heart of these roundtable dialogues is a frank conversation that we have to have with all of you. We want to hear from the governments about their investment priorities and from investors about their concerns and constraints around making investments. And we believe that the time is ripe to intensify this engagement. We are all faced with multiple crises: the COVID-19 pandemic, inflation, debt, and the Ukraine war. Africa in particular is feeling the effects badly in terms of higher fuel prices, higher commodity prices, and as an unfortunate consequence, higher inflation. Many African countries face elevated debt levels and large debt service costs. Food insecurity is rising, aggravated by trade restrictions taking toll on countries that are largely dependent on imported food. Now, the link between Africa's economic and social development and recovery from these overlapping crises and the availability of critical infrastructure, such as power, telecommunications, transport services, healthcare, and education, to name a few, is an obvious one. We cannot have the former without the latter. Yet the stress on national budgets and the toll of high debt levels severely limits the ability of governments to mobilize the funds necessary to finance these investments that are critical to closing the gaps. We have a $2.5 trillion financing gap to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And so the math simply does not add up. Challenges of this scale and complexity require collective effort that leverages public and private resources, requires ambition and renewed partnership with the private sector to mobilize private sector investments into African economies that will help navigate the crisis and lay the foundation for more prosperous and resilient economies. This is where MIGA comes in, because crowding in private capital lies at the heart of what we do. MIGA's explicit mandate within the World Bank Group is to promote foreign direct investment into developing countries. We do this by providing political risk insurance and credit enhancements, which serve as a powerful tool for de-risking investments and facilitating equity investors and lenders alike. Our work helps governments free up their resources to provide basic services, while cross-border private investors come in to provide much-needed capital, modern technology, and more efficient approaches period. In Africa, MIGA currently guarantees over $7 billion of foreign investments, including investments from companies or banks led by several of you here today. Indeed, Africa represents about 30% of MIGA's global portfolio. In 2022 alone, MIGA's guarantees provided over 35 million people in Africa with access to power and helped generate about $3 billion in annual tax revenues in African governments. Energy access has been one of MIGA's top priorities for many years. We are constantly looking to leverage new technologies, improve regulatory frameworks, and strengthen utilities, all of which help to crowd in the private sector. This is why we were very excited to issue our first ever guarantee for B-Box off-grid solar projects supporting rural communities in Kenya, Rwanda, and DRC. MIGA guarantees also span infrastructure, financial services, manufacturing, agriculture, and service sectors, and trade. From covering Silverland's farms in Tanzania and Namibia, to Casada Hospitality's hotel projects in 10 African countries, including Rwanda, Kenya, and Uganda. We want to do more. There is much more to be done, and Africa remains one of MIGA's strategic priorities. Acutely aware that public financing is under severe pressure, MIGA is ready to expand its commitment to investors and governments to unlock private capital at the scale required. Particularly here in Tanzania, the Madam President has expressed strong interest in opening up the Tanzanian economy to private sector investors, and we're seeing increasing investment interest in the country in areas such as agriculture, logistics, warehousing, energy, and infrastructure. The big question here today is, how can we do more? How can African governments bring in more foreign direct investment? How can private investors take on the opportunities, navigate global and local risks, and invest in a big way in Africa? Risk, at its most basic, is about uncertainty. And in a world of finite resources, Risk management means identifying the uncertainties with which you can live and those with which you can't. A willingness to assume some risk in development projects is a necessary component of investment decisions. It means knowing where uncertainties exist and understanding the allocation of risks and benefits as between government and investors. I often hear critics charge that investors overestimate the level of local risk they assume in development projects, and that the actual risks are remote and unlikely. This reminds me of a story I heard about a Soviet statistician who refused to join his colleagues in the Moscow air raid shelters during the German bombing campaign in 1942. He would say that there are 7 million inhabitants in the city of Moscow. What are the odds the Germans would get him in particular? Then one day, his friends see him rush into the shelter during a raid, looking pale as a ghost. They asked him what on earth happened that would cause him to change his mind. He replied, "There are 7 million people in Moscow and 1 elephant. Last night, they got the elephant." You'll forgive investors if they perceive local risk and uncertainties the same way. But the good news is that MIGA can serve to bridge the difference between perception and reality through our political risk insurance. We have invited the governments present so that they can lay out the investment opportunities in their respective countries and the measures in place to encourage investors coming in. And we've also invited our clients, international private investors from within Africa and across the world, to discuss their process for evaluation of projects, the issues they've encountered, and their suggestions for making the investment conditions more hospitable. MIGA will be here to moderate this dialogue, helping to bridge the gaps between the two perspectives and highlighting solutions that MIGA can provide so that we can come together and do more projects. These are challenging topics, and I look forward to enriching conversations. Following the roundtable, we have set up direct one-on-one conversations between the governments and investors present. We hope that the insights we've unlocked as a group will help to facilitate your business discussions going forward, and that you look to MIGA to help complete your structures going forward. I'm hopeful that the discussion we have here today will help deepen our collaboration on projects that are critical for the development agendas of your respective countries and of Africa as a whole. Thank you, and I wish everyone a productive day, and asante sana.
Karibu sana. The guest of honor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's now my great honor to advance the program by welcoming the Honorable Minister of Investments from Zanzibar, and Mama Amina Shaban. You will excuse me, you're on the program, but I had a tete-a-tete with him, a bit of a whisper, and I said, we are the fine side of the mainland and also the islands. Why don't we give a chance to get a word from, and a welcome word from Zanzibar as well, and then he will do the honors of welcoming the honorable guest to speak. Kwa hiyo, Mheshimiwa Mudrik Soraga, this is your opportunity. Karibu sana, and you have the honors. After the guest of honors speech, I'll be calling for group photos, and we'll be ending the official part of the opening of this high-level dialogue and roundtable. Karibu sana, Mheshimiwa Soraga.
Thank you so much, MC. The honorable guest of honor, Dr. Mwigulu Lamek Chemba, Mr. Ethiopia's Tafara, the MIGA Vice President, representative from the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, the honorable permanent secretaries, my fellow minister from Zanzibar, the Minister of Trade, the executive directors for both investment promotion agencies in mainland and Zanzibar, distinguished participants, members of the media, Assalamu alaikum. As informed by the AC, the MC, my task is to welcome the chief guest to come and deliver the keynote remarks. And because this is his forum, I do not want to take too much of his time, just to highlight a few issues from the other side of the union. As introduced, my name is Modric Soraga. I'm the Minister for Investment from the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar. And it's an honor for us to be here, me and my colleague. We take note of the seriousness of this agenda that's on the table. And we relish these opportunities, especially as an island nation, to have an opportunity, or these platforms, to be able to highlight some of the few issues that we are doing on the islands. So, at the outset, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend our gratitude to the Ministry of Investment, to the Ministry of Finance, for extending this invitation to Zanzibar to come and partake at this important event. We are currently on an investment journey that aims to open up the island for investment, especially strategic investment in many areas. We have a key policy initiative is the Blue Economy, which covers a variety of sectors, including tourism, which has been our traditional sector. But we are also opening up our doors for investment in the broadening of the financial sector, building up of our marine infrastructure, including the development of ports and marine transport. But we are also embarking on an investment for developing factories or manufacturing factories for the fishing industry, as well as value addition for seaweed. And we have also opened up our doors for exploration of oil and gas. We are looking to advance the island's initiative of energy independence. So there are many opportunities for investment within the energy sector. We are at your disposal. We would like to hear more from your side. But if there's any clarification that needs to be given from our side, we're definitely available to be able to do that, highlighting on the opportunities, as well as the different government strategies that we have in place to improve the investment climate, on the investment initiatives that we have, incentives that we have, both tax and non-tax incentives, which are plenty. And I'll be more than happy to share that with the audience. There was a discussion about sharing of risk, and I'd like to say that we are not afraid to share risk as well from the government side, provided that it is distributed equally. But we're more than happy to hear from your side what areas we could possibly share the risk on, and then move the discussion forward on how we can invest. So there are plenty of opportunities. I'm sure the chief guest will have a lot to say in this area, but I'd like to end my remarks by welcoming you all to the islands to invest. We are continuing to make a lot of progress in terms of improving the investment climate, in terms of putting in place a framework to allow for efficiency and quick decision-making process when it comes to investment facilitation. So, karibuni sana, and without further ado, I'd like now to take this opportunity to welcome the chief guest to come and deliver his keynote speech. Asanteni sana.
Theopis Tafara, MEGA's Vice President and Chief Risk, Legal and Administrative Officer, Honorable Ministers from Africa Group 1 constituency, Honorable Ministers from Tanzania, Permanent Secretaries from Tanzania, Executive Director, Africa Group 1 constituency within the World Bank, the President of the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, Executive Director, Tanzania Investment Center, Executive Director, Zanzibar Investment Promotion, Director General, the Tanzania Tourist Board, investors here present, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The name of my friend Theopis Tafara reminds me far back when I was very young. His name Theopis and being coming from Ethiopia reminds me we used to give ourselves questions those days when in the central part of Tanzania we used to listen much on the Kenyan radio and KBC, so we could joke with those who does not go with the current affairs that the Kenyan president is called the Kenyatta. Who is the Tanzanian president? Then you could find a fellow who is far back, say Tanyata, merging the Kenyatta and the Tanyata. So with the Ethiopians, you're most welcome. And I was also alerted with my friends who speak French. I'm also with you. Tous les protocoles sont respectés. And for my friends from Mozambique, muito obrigado. Na kwa wenzangu na wasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, on behalf of the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, I wish to express how pleased am I to welcome you to Tanzania, the beautiful land of Kilimanjaro, Serengeti, Ngorongoro, and Zanzibar. She much wished to be with us here in person. However, due to other commitments which required her attention in person, she failed to make it, and she sent me to represent, of which I think I will represent her effectively. Please allow me to also express my sincere appreciation to the MEGA for this innovative initiative that has been able to bring us all together today. We are gathered here in Dar es Salaam to participate in the investment dialogue geared toward promoting foreign direct investment in Africa. This innovative forum, pioneered by the MEGA, seeks to provide a strategic platform for dialogue between the private sector and African governments to explore ways to promote more cross-border investment into our constituent countries. Ladies and gentlemen, this dialogue comes at the right time where Africa is at the critical development juncture in the sense that it seeks to accelerate economic growth to meet our national development goals in line with Sustainable Development Goals and the Africa's Agenda 2063 during these challenging times. It is therefore important for our countries to discuss topics that are critical in driving sustainable recovery in Africa. Africa's economy is still reeling from the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. It is facing an increasingly gloom and uncertain outlook with risk tilting on the downside. The war has further complicated the domestic resource mobilization in African countries already worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic and increased the frequency on natural disaster in the context of the climate change. In this midst of rising and unsustainable debt levels, African countries are being forced to reduce their fiscal space at a time when they should be increasing it. Thus, the role of the international investment in complementing domestic public investment is now paramount. Ladies and gentlemen, international trade and foreign direct investment are important for economic growth and development. I believe we can jointly agree that foreign direct investment is among significant external sources of capital inflows. Together, they serve as an important vehicle for transferring of financial resources, technology, management know-how, job creation, and access to new markets. Countries that are open to international trade tend to grow faster, innovative, improve productivity, and provide higher incomes and more opportunities to their people. Open trade also benefits low-income households by offering consumers more affordable goods and services. Integrating with the world economy through trade and global value chains help drive economic growth and reduce poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, global flows of foreign direct investment are seen to recover following the myriad negative shocks triggered in 2020 by the COVID-19 pandemic. Global trade is also seen to recover strongly by 26.6% after contracting by 7.5% in the previous year. Despite this recovery, the overall situation for cross-border investment and international business has significantly evolved in 2022. The ongoing war in Ukraine, on top of the pandemic, affects this, resulting to triple efforts pressure that is food, fuel, and finance to most of our countries. This poses investors uncertainty which could negatively affect global foreign direct investment in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, foreign direct investment flows to Africa registered a record increase to $83 billion in 2021 from $39 billion in 2020. Despite the remarkable growth, investment flows to Africa accounted for only 5.2% for global foreign direct investment compared to 4.1% in 2020. While most of our countries in Africa experienced a moderate rise in foreign direct investment in 2021, around 45% of the total was due to an intra-firm financial transaction in South Africa. However, if this transaction was to be excluded, we would still see positive foreign direct investment flows to Africa, but would be more similar to that observed in other developing regions. In terms of sub-regions, South Africa, East Africa, and West Africa witnessed their investment flows rise, while those to Central Africa remained flat and North Africa registered a decline. Ladies and gentlemen, we acknowledge the role played by the World Bank Group institutions in fight against poverty and promoting shared prosperity in Africa. We commend Bank's prompt response in supporting African countries to recover the effects of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. Since the onset of the COVID-19 crisis, the World Bank Group has committed more than $160 billion to help countries respond to the twin shocks effect. The recent initiative, namely the World Bank Group Global Crisis Response Package, amounting to $107 billion to help the developing countries navigate multiple compounding crises that are hitting the poor and most vulnerable. The headest brings more hope to our countries in addressing the human and development setbacks caused by the compounding crisis impact of the war, including food and fuel price shocks, disrupting to trade, supply chains, and foreign direct investment. The COVID-19 pandemic and the climate change has done the same. Ladies and gentlemen, International Finance Corporation, IFS, and the Multinational Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA, play a strategic role in promoting private sector growth and cross-border investment in our countries. Over nearly 6 decades, IFC has invested more than $60 billion in African business, with the current portfolio standing around $12 billion. On the other hand, MEGA has over $7 billion in guaranteeing in Africa, out of which infrastructure attracted the largest volume of guarantees, followed by the financial sector and oil and gas. This investment dialogue is a continuation of MEGA's initiative in promoting foreign direct investment in Africa. Using its convening power, MEGA has hosted several events promoting foreign direct investment in Africa. Notable ones include a public event in December 2021, which focused on driving foreign direct investment to Africa, and a high-level dialogue in March 2022 that was hosted with the government of Togo, which focused in promoting foreign direct investment in Western Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, as we apprise our partners' efforts in promoting foreign direct investment in Africa, we still observe a small share of MEGA's investment in Africa as compared to other regions. Hence, with a humble request to my brother Ethiopians, can I repeat this? With a humble request to my brother Ethiopians, who also happens to have brothers and sisters here in Tanzania, in Manyara, Kondoa, to Dr. Ashatu Kijaji's district, and the Singida, my home region. I think you could see even those far similarities. I argue MEGA to further strengthen their engagements and support to Africa, especially in key priority sectors that will indeed drive Africa's recovery and build resilience from our unforeseen shocks. UNCTAD World Investment Report of 2022, which reports on the FDI flow across countries and economies, show that FDI in Tanzania started to improve in 2021, where it amounted to around $922 million, as compared to 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic, in which declined to $685 million from around $1.3 billion from the previous year. This has given us hope and confidence that if decided, we can, and you will support that Tanzania, as all countries gathered here today, has all the potential to attract and facilitate profitable and sustainable investment. Ladies and gentlemen, taking advantage of the abundant natural resources available in Tanzania, Africa and Tanzania in particular, Tanzania has concentrated on putting in place an enabling environment for trade and investment and the management of macroeconomic variables, and trying as much as possible to reduce the cost of doing business in our economy in order to attract both foreign and local investors. The government of Tanzania, under the leadership of Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, has been implementing various reforms which geared in the regulating and lead to smart regulatory framework. Several initiatives aimed at reducing bureaucratic cost and facilitate business have been put in place, including establishment of one-stop facilitation center where investors access services provided by most of the regulatory agencies in one place. Specifically, this year, we are planning to launch an inclusive Tanzania electronic investment window that integrates services platforms from relevant government institutions that facilitate investment. The system will, among other things, facilitate online receiving of applications from investors, system integration with respective participating government institutions, online real-time feedback provision to investors, and serve as a secure centralized electronic repository for investment statistics. The common call of our President, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, who unfortunately couldn't make it there, as I've said, is about opening up the country. We have opened our doors wide for everyone interested in bringing capital and do business with us. we offer a wide range of investment incentives, just like several other popular investment destinations in the world. And in some aspects, we are even more generous and attractive than other destinations. The reform measures we have made implementing, we have placed the private sector at the center and as a key player in economic initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, the government maintains the regulatory role and that of facilitation. It is the experience and testimony of these investors that, in perhaps most important, in showcase Tanzania investment environment to others who are planning to expand in Africa as their preferred destination. Tanzania should be on top. Tanzania is a peaceful and politically stable country. This is among the critical assets for attracting investment. We are young, vibrant, multi-party democrats, uphold the tenets of good governance, respect of human rights, and the rule of law. The country is strategically located in the eastern coast of Africa, so we welcome you all to come and invest to the advantage I have mentioned. Once you are in Tanzania, you are open to more than 8 other countries within East Africa and SADC and Central Africa. Before I conclude my remarks, allow me once again, on behalf of Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, whom dearly wanted to be here with us, as I've said, and on behalf of the people of the United Republic of Tanzania, to reiterate our commitment to further join efforts and to continue working closely together with the governments, the World Bank Group, and the other development partners in various initiatives on mobilizing capital for making Africa's ambitious plans a real across priority areas. We are only as strong as we are united and as weak as we are divided. I once again welcome you all to Tanzania, a prosperous, peaceful, and predictable country. As Her Excellency has been saying repeatedly, Tanzania is ready for takeoff. Just fasten your seatbelt, ready for takeoff. Asanteni sana. It is my honor now to pronounce this forum is officially opened. Thank you for your kind attention. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. And louder, please, ladies and gentlemen. We've opened our Promoting FDI Roundtable event here in Dar es Salaam. Hongera sana, Mheshimiwa. Hongera sana. All right, we are done with the officious part of the first part of the event, and I am going now to raise specific groups to follow the high table just outside for the group photo. We'll take a short tea break. We're a little bit behind time, and you know time is precious in business. So let's allow the high table to rise. Ladies and gentlemen, Mheshimiwa Mgeni Rasmi, distinguished ministers, our esteemed guests, may I request that we rise. We'll lead you to a photo point just outside the hall, and the following groups will be following them in suit. Karibuni sana. Mheshimiwa, karibu na kazi njema. Kazi endelee. Ladies, please lead the high table to the photo point. We're going to request leading delegates from the African countries, African governments represented here, to please rise right now so you may take a picture with the high table. So representatives from the African governments present, may we please request that you rise and follow the high table outside for a picture. The MEGA team, please also step outside. Tanzania government ministries, agencies, ZIPA, the Tanzania Tourist Board, Tanzania Investment Center, please also step outside. This picture will involve you too. And members of the Secretariat, please also rise. There'll be a photo moment for you as well. As we're seated, let's go over the program.